ArcGIS provides a range of capabilities to support a utility with its outage management use cases. Public outage maps, integrating with cyclone, bushfire, flooding feeds and bringing those into your outage management system, using the utility network to quantify and understand how many customers have been impacted from an outage, as well as that important post-outage analytics and reporting that needs to be done. In this example, what we're going to be doing is connecting to an outage API, using ArcGIS Velocity to simply just connect to that and persist it to disk, and then using ArcGIS connector for Microsoft Power Automate to enrich that record with additional information by bouncing off of a weather API to get the current weather observations at the time of that outage appended into the record. And the reason for doing this, weather observations can be useful for operational workflows, particularly the forecast data. But in this use case, it's really about supporting predictive analytics and machine learning models that can happen after the event, building up a catalog of outages and what the weather was like at the time of the outage, things like winds, lightning, extreme heat, and all those perils I mentioned earlier. They have a correlation to different types of asset failures, and having this information all enriched will help mitigate and potentially predict future disruptions. I'm not going to focus on the analytics in this particular video. I'm just going to focus on this top level of how we can enrich that data. Velocity, I've stripped this down to the bare minimum. We are going to poll an outage feed for just the unplanned outages and persist that into our GIS. There's a variety of weather APIs that are out there. The one from Microsoft is particularly good and very easy to work with. As Velocity creates new records and updates records in my outages layer, it triggers for this Microsoft flow to run. What this flow does is gets each of those records and essentially bounces it using this HTTP action off of the weather API of your choice. Typically, they want an XY coordinate location. And then the response of those APIs, depending on what parameters you've put, you can then use to update fields in your outage data set, in this case with temperature and wind and other weather observations. With that, back in the GIS, we then have a time-enabled outage data set of the last few days. In this case, we're looking at wind, and we can see quite a few incidents in this particular area here. And for these incidents, we can actually understand what the weather was like, the speed, the temperature, the actual conditions at that particular time, as well as the information that was coming in on the actual outage API itself, such as the number of customers, the duration. Again, looking at duration as well as the type of weather incident could be an interesting one, as well as the particular reason for that outage as well. If you have any examples of how you'd want to enrich your own data sets, please get in touch.